All right. Hello, everybody. This is the Impulse Drum and Bugle Corps watch party for the year 2005, the Impulsables show. I'm Aaron Zeilinger. I'm hosting along with Chris Math. We're going to be watching the show. We're going to answer some questions, reminisce on some memories during that time. If you've got any questions or things you want to throw at us while we're doing the live cast, I am also watching our stream, so I can answer any questions that come up during that. Please remember to keep your comments on the live stream family friendly, as this is an open page. And we have a lot of viewers that are different age ranges that tune into this thing. Also, if right now you are looking to augment, or you know someone that wants to gain some musical lesson abilities, Impulse Drum and Bugle Corps has launched an online Impulse Institute, where we offer basically a community college experience on a month-to-month basis, and we will teach anyone anything that we can. So if 1 month you want to take trumpet lessons, you can do that. And the next month you want to take music theory, the next month you want to take a percussion lesson, you can do all of that within the Institute. You can find out more at www.impulseyouth.arts.org. And the Institute is under the program page. So after all of that, we're going to start out and let's do a little bit of a roll call. So how about Kyle Spracker?
Yeah, I marched 01, 02, and then took a year off. 04 and 05 was my final year. I marched soprano, and now I live on Cape Cod, where I play principal trumpet with the Cape Symphony, and I'm the director of community outreach and education for the organization.
Awesome. Next up is Steve.
Hello, I'm Steve Ortega. I marched in 05 on Contra. Right now, I own my own truck, so I do run from Phoenix to Fontana 3 times a week and one to Stockton 3 times a week. So that's about it. Oh, and I still play in the community band in Pomona.
Awesome. Next will be Eric/Henry.
Hi, I'm Henry, not Eric. I marched 02 through 06, and currently I'm living in Salem, Oregon. I've been a substitute teacher for the past year and a half. Also have a small little trumpet studio, and currently I'm finishing my last year to achieve my teaching license for band director.
Fantastic. Next is Victor or Toaster.
I am Victor Macias, also known as Toaster. I marched 02, and then I took 2 years off, and then I marched 05. I was a contrabass or tuba, and now I work as I'm a CNC machinist for an aerospace company, and that's about it.
Great. Next will be Hillary.
Hi, I'm Hillary Baca. I marched in 04 and 05. I play baritone. Currently, I live in California still, and I work at Disneyland and the YMCA in aquatics. So I teach swim lessons and lifeguarding, and I work in Galaxy's Edge at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge at Disneyland, where I dress up in Star Wars clothes and have fun with people.
Next will be Raphael.
Hi, Raphael. I marched 01 to 05, Euphonium 01, Contra 02 to 05. And currently I sit on the board for Impulse since 2018. Wasn't on visual staff in 2018, currently the secretary for Impulse. And I currently am the music director at Duarte Unified School District.
Next is Tom.
Good evening, I'm Tom Willett. I taught the horn in 04 and 05. I kept teaching up until about 3 years ago. Currently, I am an announcer for WGSC, WGASC, SCSBOA, and WBA. That's it.
Next will be Charlie.
Hey, I'm Charlie Grow, and I kind of was with the Corps from the beginning. Not kind of, I was. In and out of the BOD. Right now I'm off of the BOD, who knows. Taught the Corps for many years. and I'm a contractor slash carpenter slash who knows what photographer slash I don't have any, I don't have a woman to tell me no. So that's where I am. Hi.
All right, next will be Chris.
Hi, I'm Chris Mathis. I marched 99 to 02 on Contra. As of 2019, I came back to Impulse and became their audio engineer. Beyond that, I own Common Innovations AV, where I do audiovisual install and work for a number of places in Southern California.
And I'm Aaron Zeilinger. I was a founding member in 99 and marched 2001 through 2003, Mellophone. I am the instrumental director at Orange Lutheran High School in Orange, California, and I am also the current corps director for Impulse Drum and Bugle Corps and the director of the Impulse Institute. So with all of that said, we're going to start our questions.
So we're going to actually start here with a question here for Steve. You and I never really got the chance to meet, but what brought you to Impulse?
Well, it's kind of a long story, but I wanted to be in it in 04, but there's a guy named Henry who told me that it sucked. And so like I kind of like was like, oh, all right, well, you know, maybe I should pay attention to this guy. But later on, I figured out that his opinion really didn't matter. So so I came in 05, and I was talking to a couple of guys and that were like, yeah, you should go march and all that stuff. So there's a guy named Sasquatch that was doing it, and so I kind of hooked up with him, and then we started going to rehearsals like in March. So that's about it, you know.
Perfect. Yeah, I don't know about the Henry guy either. I've heard he's called Eric in some places. Maybe he changed his name for protection or something. All right, next is going to be for Hillary. 2004 was your first year with Impulse. What got you to come back? 5.
I had so much fun. It was like the coolest thing I had done, and I really liked making friends and seeing different parts of the country. And I love marching and performing in general, so why not?
Next question here is for Victor. So Victor and I actually marched together in 02, but you took a couple of years off. We talked about that with Kyle taking a year off the previous one. So you took 2 years off and came back. But what brought you back to the Impulse family?
You know, one of the things I really missed being part of a team. You know, being in band and, you know, playing sports growing up. I like being part of a team, and even though, you know, it wasn't about competing with Impulse, like, you know, the fact that we were, you know, working for a common goal and, you know, trying to max out our performance, and you know, I miss being around, you know, like a bunch of people like that, being part of a group, and, you know, playing and marching. In those 2 years I took off, I didn't touch a horn at all. Like, I just, you know, it was kind of weird coming back because I wasn't sure, you know, how I was gonna be able to do it at first. I had to, you know, build my chops back up and everything, but it worked out, and you know, we had a lot of fun, and it was a good time.
All right, next is towards our staff members on here. This is going to go to Tom and Charlie. Can you guys explain how this show came together? Maybe we'll start with Charlie and then Tom.
I think it was your dad, man. I'm not sure. Somebody came up with them, the Incredibles, and
I thought it was Ron.
was it Ron? Yeah, it could have been. And I just.
It was one of them.
I just went, yeah, sure. You know, I mean, I hardly ever cared, you guys, on what we played. I just wanted to get clean and go. So for me, that was it. Tom had probably a little bit more to do with it than I did.
Not much. I mean, do you guys remember the Meehan version of the opener? Yeah, we went through a couple different versions of that show. I don't know who it nixed that, but I know that we ended up going with Brad Pearson as our arranger.
Yeah, and I hooked that up because we had him in VK. Yeah. And he was just a really good dude. And Tom, I mean, the charts were bitching, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I had to spend a lot of time on the train, editing and rearranging with Doug's notes some of the stuff and making a lot of changes, along with Ike and those guys, to make that show musically come together. I mean, visually, what you guys did with it was beyond all that. We had a great time putting it together. I know I had fun, even though I was up many nights dealing with the editing with Doug's notes.
Yeah, I think that musically that show was it's one of the better shows I've been around continuity wise. Just it flowed.
Yeah, to add to Tom and Charlie, to Charlie's earlier thing, if I remember correctly, I think Dan Zalling was the one who told me. Apparently, Ron was at the movies, was watching Incredibles, heard the music, called Dan, and put his phone up. He goes, "This is what we're doing next year."
I remember that story.
Could be. I don't know.
Did Disney ever come after us?
No.
No, you guys won the Disney Award that year.
They didn't have
Yeah.
time. It was right out of the
Little
box.
biased.
I think we got that stuff going right out of the gate, and it was like, here we go. Disney, catch us if you can.
So our next question is actually headed towards Kyle and Henry. Impulse was still kind of getting more notoriety, and back in the day, they actually still printed magazines called DCI Today, and actually they wrote a piece on Impulse, featuring both of you for different things. Do you guys remember anything about this? Oh, with a copy in hand.
So I'll start. So funny story. I went to go visit my parents like 4 weeks ago, and I was just going through like old stuff, and I found this and I ended up texting Kyle because I totally forgot like this was printed, and my mom kept it for me as a memory, which is a great memory. Yeah, so it's a small little article, and it's awesome that they mentioned Impulse because we were growing at that time. I think that was the biggest horn line we had at that time. And I mentioned something about the Rose Parade because I marched 6 years with in the Rose Parade, 4 with All City, and then 2. Sorry, I can't math. 2 with Pasadena City College as a herald trumpet player. And what I talked about how it was easy to do the Rose Parade because it's just straight march for 7 miles and eat your hamburger at the end. So that's what I kind of just chatted about.
But before you go on, I want to mention if you actually read the article, and you can actually Google it, Henry goes as far as to say, it says Eric Henry, and he basically says, "I am Henry. Don't call me Eric." It's like a third of the article is just that. So sorry to interrupt you there, Kyle.
That burger at the end of the parade was the best, though. It was worth it.
Was it as good as the burger you ate during my recital?
No, that was Henry. I didn't eat a burger. I just late.
That was directed at Henry.
It was pretty. I mean, I think your burger at the recital was way better.
Actually,
satisfaction.
I think I got a bite of that burger. Henry sent me this in text a few weeks ago, and I don't think I ever saw that article, but I had forgotten that Josh and I had gone to the NAMM show to play taps. We did echoing taps. Honestly, I'd totally forgotten that memory because it was such a blip, it happened so quickly. Like we were in and then we were out. But it was really incredible. I mean, that year was a really big year for remembering musicians who had passed away. And so we had the honor of playing echoing taps, which I had never done before. But nowadays, I get calls for that on a regular basis. People there's been a lot of sort of pre-recorded versions of taps that have been upsetting families, and so a lot of times I'll get a call saying, we really want to do this the right way. Can you help us find a trumpet player, or can you play it yourself? And It's my favorite thing to do. Playing in orchestra is one thing, but making somebody's day like that is really fantastic. And that was such an honor. I couldn't believe that we got to do that, and I can't believe I forgot about it. I think it was just '05 was such a crazy year, and there was so much happening. I'm all of it started to come back to me. I'm looking at Tom, and I'm remembering that arrangement that I did, the Eric Whitaker arrangement, and I only remembered it when I saw your face, like, because you took it and you said, this is really great, we're gonna do this, and I didn't think much of it. It was just kind of a fun thing that I put together, and then you made it like we did it every single time before shows. It became our sort of unofficial core second song.
I love that arrangement.
It was really fun, and I'm really thankful that you pushed that we make that something that we did on a regular basis, and we sang it a lot. Yeah, just amazing. So anyway, a lot of memories are starting to flood back here, and I'll shut up now.
All right, the next question is going to go to Steve. What was your expectation coming to the core, both Impulse being unique as it was, and also finding out that they're doing The Incredibles? Like, what was going through your mind when you stepped into the madness?
I never actually saw the movie until after tour. So, but one of my friends was at PCC. He goes, "Hey man, you should go try out for Impulse because we're doing this really good arrangement of this movie called The Incredibles." And so we had a CD of it, so he played it like a couple songs, and I was like, wow. And so then I just showed up, and I was expecting, I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting to have, just to, march around and, do the thing, and I was hoping not everybody was like Henry, and obviously nobody was. So it was cool, it was great, hanging out with Toaster and Raph and all the Contras, and then eventually the horn line and Hillary, and everybody was awesome there. I was truly blown away how great it was. It was a really fun season.
All right, the next one's going to go to Hillary and Victor. Impulse seemed to have a long break in their tour from July 9th to July 29th. How was it to get that much time to work on the show before performing again in Van Buren?
Go ahead, Hillary.
I don't remember too much. Like I kind of remember a break, but I remember a lot of time just driving at night and then getting somewhere and then sleeping and then waking up at like 4 p.m. and getting up and rehearsing and then driving. That's all I really remember.
That's the way it usually works.
Yeah, for me it was weird because in '02, it seemed like we would like go somewhere and then do a show that night, and then travel and then do another show the next day, and like we did so many shows that season. I don't remember the number, but it was like 20, 30 shows, something like that. And so in '05, we did less shows, but we had more practice time and we stayed in places longer, versus constantly traveling. So it was fun, it was different. I only have those 2 years to go by, so.
Okay, so the next question we're going to get to, this is for Raph and Charlie. So I've always lived by the motto that no good deed shall go unpunished. And I heard that you guys had to lend your horn, Raph, to someone from SCV. In doing so, you missed the bus and you had to ride back with Charlie here, huh?
Yeah.
So let's hear this story.
So this was the San Diego show. So we were there, and the original plan was we do the show, we're going to eat dinner, get back on the bus, and travel back home. We weren't going to stay for awards. So we get done with our show. I'm there. I'm eating food, and I forgot who came up to me. Might have been Charlie. He's like, "Hey, SUV's gonna go on right now, pretty soon, but their horn, one of their conches just broke. They have the same exact model that we are using. Can you let them borrow your horn?" I'm like, "Okay, but aren't we leaving soon?" "I'll let the bus drivers know not to leave. We'll wait for you." All right. So I go to the truck, grab my horn, get out of the case, and I run to the field. I see them, I give it to them, and I'm there on the side. You know, I'm watching them do the show. Their show's done. I grab my horn and I sprint back to the parking lot. I get there, the truck is gone, the food truck is gone, and both buses are gone. I'm like, how am I gonna get home? And then I just hear Charlie go, hey. I turn around, I was like, you're riding with me. Okay. So I get in his car, on his old carpenter van that he had, the big gray one, and I sit on there. And first thing I'm like, hey, Charlie, where's seatbelt? This van's old, doesn't have any. What happened to me? You think you lived a good life? Yeah? Well then, just trust me. Okay. But I mean, it was good in the fact that, you know, we have that. I have that under the core, especially being SCV, and Impulse has had a history with SCV where they've like fed us and then everything. So it's like there's no way I couldn't say I could say no, I'm not gonna do this. So they appreciated it, and I mean, like as soon as their show was done, a staff member went over, got me the horn, thanked me. And I ran back to the bus. So unfortunately, I didn't make it. But that was the same show where somebody ended up in TJ and picked up a Mr. Incredible. But we'll talk about that a little bit later.
Raph, if you looked like Sasquatch like you do now, I might have a different opinion of that day. But it was a fine thing. Having the young man with me and go, yeah, seatbelt, right? Sure, buddy. See you later. I didn't even have a seatbelt on my seat.
All right, next is going to go to Tom. You've stated numerous times that this was the best horn line you had ever worked with. What made it so?
There are a lot of things. The horn line's ability to push themselves even harder and to make the staff to push us to help them to get better. Little things like people from the group giving us different warm-ups to do. Kyle with that Whitaker piece was just wow. I've actually used that with a couple of other groups. The fact their work ethic was just amazing. The progress that we made from the very first camp to that finals was just unheard of that I had worked with up until that point. Well, while I said yes is my favorite horn line, it's my favorite B flat horn line. My favorite G horn line's 07 Dream. So sorry. And I think Matt just jumped on.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
That's an interesting thing because I was going to ask Victor what it was like coming from G to B flat.
It was kind of weird at first because we played on those what were they, the K90s, the 2 valves, and they were big and heavy, and they sometimes they sounded horrible. It was just like blah.
Yeah,
and,
I have one.
I got to tell all you guys that both these guys, Victor and Stevie, marched in the Kingsman with us, and we had 22 of those big bad boys around, and these two yokels are holding Yamahas. So
yeah, those Yamahas were pretty sweet though, man.
Yeah, they were.
They were nice.
And we played in tune. So
it's the damn tuba. You always play in tune. All right, I quit.
All right, and welcome, Matthew. If you could introduce yourself real quick, say what years and what you marched here at Impulse, and what you're doing now.
Yeah, I don't think you guys ever called me Matthew. It's kind of weird. I marched 05, 06, those 2 years. Since then, I moved around a lot. I'm not living in Vegas. Well, Henderson, really. I'm over here working working my butt off. So I'm sorry I'm late, guys. I've been super busy. So I said I would join, and here I am. So I apologize for my tardiness. But right now I'm a learning manager for a call center. So it's just pretty hectic right now. But I wouldn't trade it. I love living in Vegas now. I was actually was able to buy my first house out here. So I love California. I love growing up over there, but I don't think I'll ever move back.
No kidding, had a boy.
All right, and to follow that up with a question, since this was your first year, what were some of the expectations you had joining the zany, crazy drum corps?
So I didn't know anything about Impulse. It wasn't until like Eric said something about it. But before that, I was actually trying to join Pacific Crest. I don't know if you guys remember Pacific Crest. They were like a Dev 1 march corps. I almost said marching band. And so, yeah, so basically I tried to join Pacific Crest, but my car broke down during that time. They were like down in Diamond Bar, so it was way too far away for me to go. So I didn't really get the chance to join Pacific Crest. But then I was telling this to Eric, and he's all like, dude, come join Impulse. I was like, why? What is this? He's like, you'll like it. Trust me. And I was like, all right, whatever. But again, I didn't have a car. So I didn't know how to get down there. And then I remember Steve was all like, hey, man, are you trying to go to Impulse? I was like, I guess. He's like, hey, we'll carpool together. I'll take you. I said, okay. And so I had like zero expectations. But then when I remember when I got there, how Pacific Crest took itself so seriously and they were trying to be so hardcore. You guys were like the complete opposites. Like you guys were like, yeah, whatever, screw it, you know, and you guys would just be running around doing crazy shit. And I was all like, hey, this is actually kind of fun. So I think I kind of fell in love on day one. And so I kind of just stayed from there.
You know, that's one of the reasons I chose Impulse over Pacific Crest too, because I went to those guys' camps or their workshops, and they kind of seemed like they were kind of jerks. So then I went to the Impulse tryouts, and it was like laid back. Everybody was pretty cool. It was, pretty funny. I was like, I'm done with those guys.
I also gave Tom a ride too later on.
So this leads us to our next one. So Steve, do you think that your experiences with Impulse prepared you for Div 1 course?
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, I only went to one Div 1 course, but yeah, I was thinking about it on the way here earlier today. We were doing box drill and circle drill, and me and this other girl named Angie who was in the contra line with me from Impulse. We were just knocking it out, you know what I mean? Everybody was dropping like flies, and we just kind of looked at each other like, good job. And so, I mean, yeah, stuff like that taught us how to, be good rookies, I guess you could say, or good members. Yeah, I mean, a lot of things you didn't learn, but a lot of, like, most of the basics you got, which was, one of the great things about Impulse.
Yeah, as a follow-up, Henry, how do you feel about what Impulse gave you to when you went over to Madison Scouts? Like what helped, what didn't help?
Yeah, I mean, by the time I went to Madison, it was my 6th year. So I already had a lot of experience. So I basically walked in as a rookout. It was kind of funny. I was, as always, just the very serious, quiet person. So everyone assumed I was a brand new rookie. I didn't know what to do exactly. And then, something that I didn't mention that the previous year we won our division. And so I kept it on the DL until someone later on in the season found out. And they were mad at me because I had a ring. And so they made me sit on my head in the bus. That was like a thing. They would have you like sit with your feet like on top because you're in trouble. So that's, and there was actually 2 of us. There was a guy from Spartans that also had a championship from 2004, I think, or 5. So they made us sit on our head for like 10 minutes because, we had this experience. But overall, it just kind of made it really easy. There wasn't much of a difference. I mean, the difference is just you're going from 30, 40 member horn line to 60, 65, and everything is doubled, tripled. You know, like the experience that I got from Madison is not as close that what I got from Impulse. What I got from Impulse was more of a family thing. At Madison, I was just another member, which, you know, I'm still friends with a lot of those guys, but Impulse are just totally different. A lot of memories. I mean, it was a blast. Never take it back.
So speaking of memories, you've corrected several people in calling you Eric instead of Henry. Can you explain to the people watching how that nickname came about?
Yeah, so my first day, okay, so I didn't know anything about drum corps, and I had a buddy in high school. He was marching in '02, Michael. I'm not sure if you guys remember, maybe Aaron or Chris. I don't know if you remember Michael. Forgot his last name. He played baritone or euphonium. He's not a good member. Anyways, I think he got kicked out and went to PC afterwards. But anyways, I didn't know. He basically said, "Hey, show up on Saturday to Cerritos College. Bring some clothes like shorts, t-shirt. You know, nothing nice, just an old stuff." And I really didn't have any old clothes, so I asked my dad, like, "Hey, do you have anything I can use?" So he's like, "Yeah, sure. I have this shirt." And so I showed up to rehearsal with this stupid shirt, and I think Charlie or maybe Dan basically said, they looked at me and they're like, "Hey, Henry." Like, I mean, I was 16 or 15. I was like, "Oh, okay, sure." And then they took me to the horn line and then introduced me as Henry. And that was basically it. Like, I mean, I've gone years without, you know, people didn't know my real name was Eric. They always assumed it was Henry. No last name, just Henry. And I still use it. I still go by it. It's on my Facebook. When I hang out with like old friends, I'm like, just call me Henry. Like, it's just weird. Just call me Eric. Just awkward.
Like Cher, man.
I thought it was Princess.
That too.
No,
It is Princess.
No, Kyle. Kyle, we're talking.
He got you.
I'm gonna text you right now.
Okay, Princess.
So we started talking earlier about how Raph had the San Diego show, and apparently we started talking about how someone made a wrong turn and started heading down to TJ Way. I heard that there was a knockoff Mr. Incredible, a Senor Incredible. Kyle, I heard you killed him. Let's hear the story. Come on.
Yeah, my like heart is sinking into my stomach here. That was such a sad day. I may as well have like killed a member of our horn line at that moment. I think I was trying to remember today, like what even happened. So we had this Senor Increab, who was always with us for warm-ups, and I guess maybe we were doing like the Hindu exercise, like the old Jared Huntley thing. And I was leading it, and of course, you know, you close your eyes. First mistake. And I swear to God, I was set up, man. I turned around and knocked him over, and he died instantly. No pain. There was no pain, you know. He was out and gone. And I think we all wondered if it was filled with candy or championship rings or something, but it turned out there was nothing in there.
Isn't there a picture around somewhere of a cat?
Oh yeah, definitely. Making a very sad face.
All right, next one's going to Roth. This was your age out year. How did you feel after all those years performing in DCI? Also, of all the years you performed, which one was your favorite?
It felt weird, but it was like an end of a, like, you know, a chapter of your life, do that stuff, you know, because you know, it's like you have your like middle school years, whether you have your high school years, you have college years, you know, and for me, 5 years straight of drum corps, you know, that was it. That was a big chapter of my life. Made a lot of great friends. It just felt weird. It felt good ending with a very good show. It was a very good show. We scored high. and it was amazing. We all worked hard. I made great friends, especially in the tuba section. It's like we were good. We weren't as, I don't think we were as tight as we were like in O2 or maybe but we were pretty good. And there's even times where I think one time like the entire section except for Yale came over to my house for my birthday. We just had a barbecue.
Yeah, we did.
Stepped over. I think Sasquatch went too.
Yeah.
Stepped over. We came up with a vocal that we added to the show, and then then the next day we went to rehearsal. But
we would watch like 1970s drum corps.
Yeah.
Like the whole collection.
And we burnt chicken too.
Yeah, we burnt.
Yeah, that's right. Steve took chicken, and I think Toast was like, "Do you know how to cook that thing?" Yeah, I do. It's all burnt.
It's all burnt, but it was juicy in the middle.
Yeah. I remember we all tricked Steve to try to smash a Pepsi can on his head.
Yeah.
And like he tried to smash it and we all pretended to do it and he was the only one to smash the can on his head. And
that was true. I think that was Victor's idea.
Yeah, because his head is big enough to do it.
I don't remember that at all. So
no,
that's why I didn't want him in Impulse.
But
because of
shut up, Henry.
Like
but for me, it felt good. It was at the end, especially after we ended the show. We did the Agile Circle. I used the same shoes for rehearsals all 5 years. So I would, they all say, "Hey, don't do this and this," and at the Agile ceremony, I snuck in both the shoes and left them right there in the middle of the 50 as ceremony. And it was weird, just like ending five great years. And to answer the next part of the question, it's a tie between 01 and 05, but I think for me, I think the best show was 01. Just because of how fun that was. It's probably mostly also because that was like my first time, but it's like the amount of fun that we had on that show and the team that we brought in for 01. But a lot of that came back in 05, which is why I enjoyed 05 a lot as well. So they're both up there, but I think a lot of the stuff that we didn't in 01, all the comedy, some of the comedy and a lot of the members' input on visuals came back in 05, which made it really good as well. But I think if I had to pick one, it would have to be 01. And I think Kyle would probably agree. He marched that year too. I don't know. Yeah, he probably has to.
No, Raph, I totally agree with you about the whole thing about it being your first show, and that crew was a really funny crew, and there was a lot of member involvement in how the show was developed, which was really interesting. But 05 was, the most like any other, 01 year. 05 was as close as it gets, especially with the cast of characters that we had and all the nonsense that happened. It's funny that Matt said that we were crazy, but I really don't think that we were that zany until Sasquatch came into the group. And I've got some great stories I can't tell here, but man, did I have a great time hanging out with that dude. You guys were just
I'm
hilarious.
curious, what the hell did I do?
You don't remember? Okay. Well,
sounds like a whole nother watch
vaguely
party.
remember half the things that I did, but I was trying to keep up with you guys. I thought I was
the Blue Stars. Ask the Blue Stars. They'll never forget it.
What? Oh my God.
Oh man.
I don't remember.
Sounds like a whole nother after hours party for us that we're gonna have. Sorry, what's up, Raphael? Were you gonna say something?
No, I said after hours part 2.
Exactly. We're gonna have to. Okay, for everyone that's been watching or that tunes in afterwards, this is the Impulse 2005 watch party, the Impulsables. We've been asking all these panelists different questions. If you would like to find, we'll go and watch our previous ones. They're on our Facebook page. They'll be up on YouTube soon. We do these every week on Saturday at 6 o'clock. Next week will be 2006, which was Impulse's championship year. Without any further ado, we're going to go into the show. If you've got any comments, just drop them on our chat section on the Facebook page. I'm watching that this entire time. And please enjoy the 2005 show.
On the field from Buena Park, California, presenting their 2005 program, The Impulsables. Drum Corps International is proud to present Impulse. Are the judges ready? Drum majors Julio Sequeira and Eric Caños, is your corps ready? Impulse, you may take the field for competition. California, Impulse.
That was
Oh,
cool.
man.
So coming back into this, I actually I'm going to go a little off script here for a question. And it's really good to be for a number of these vets that have been marched a lot of years with Impulse. You spent a lot of your formative years there. We asked in 03 a lot of the age outs, why did you want to stay with Impulse? So Henry and Kyle and Raph, why did you stay with Impulse? What made you stay and make the core what it turned into?
Henry, you can start.
I don't know. I just loved the group of people around me. I know Steve and Sass were like making fun of me being mean, but I was kind of, I wanted certain people with our bubble. I know it sounds bad, but we just had this family, and it was just weird introducing new people, especially side story. We all met each other at Pasadena City College. And then Alex was also a member. He played quads. So all of us were from PCC, and then there was some other kids that went to PC. And there was always like this like weird rival thing. And I was just kind of, like I said, I was just kind of like in particular of like who I wanted to be in our group. And I mean, these guys came in and they just kind of made it to the next level. And it just became a family. And I just wanted, like, I had no reason to go to Blue Devils or Vanguard, even Madison. Like, it was more of a last thing. I just didn't want to go anywhere. I was totally fine and happy where I was with everyone. It was just great memories. Like, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Raph.
I think for me, and I think Henry mentioned the whole thing about family, but like I think Victor alluded earlier that he went to go try out for PC. I went when I first started. I also went to their camp and everything, and then when I went to Impulse, it was just hard and like it was very welcoming. I mentioned way back, I think it's the '01 panel where my memory of Dex is like he's the first person who I met at the core, and I'm sitting by myself. He's like, "Hey man, come join us," and everything, and it was just very welcoming from the very beginning. It was very loose. It wasn't like, "Hey, if you messed up, you do this or do this, whatever." It's like we still had other things. If you mess up, do this, but it wasn't like very like, "Oh, we're gonna like kill you if you mess this thing up or whatever." It was very welcoming, and there was something about the core, especially that just made me want to come back and age out there. I didn't want to go anywhere else. I wanted to help that core grow, and my thought was like, hey, I can't help this core grow if I go somewhere else.
This was kind of my unofficial age out year, because I knew I wasn't gonna come back and do another year, just because I needed to really focus on my studies. But I loved every year that I marched, and honestly, I gotta say, after watching the '05 video, I think '05 might be my favorite year. I'm having a hard time. That was like, I don't remember a lot of that stuff, and watching the video, I had goosebumps the whole time. It was awesome. And then, of course, seeing all you guys, and I have so many really great memories of hanging out with a lot of you guys after Impulse ended, or at least after we were done playing with Impulse. I remember a particular New Year's Eve that was a lot of fun with you guys, where you actually met my wife before we were just kind of dating, and she's like, she asked how Tuba Steve's doing. I didn't really. I said this last week that I didn't really think about going to any other cores. I didn't care. I wanted to be at Impulse. Those are my people. You guys are my friends, my family. Like, I wanted to be there. There was no question about it. And like I said, somebody had to keep Henry in check, so I came back to do that.
Right. Sorry to pull the heartstrings there, but I was watching that show and I just saw a lot of the heart that I know was in the shows where I was still with the core. So I figured, you guys, much like myself and Aaron and Errol, we talked about, there's a lot of that core group there that, had such emotional investment. I wanted to kind of give you a chance to just voice it out there. But to Tom and to Charlie, this was the highest scoring season for Impulse that they had to this point. Did you feel any pressure coming from the core from how they did in 04 going into this season? A head shake, okay. Yeah. Charlie, you're still muted if you're trying to talk.
Yeah, 04 for me was an off year. I just had to take a break after 03. It was crazy, and so I jumped around a lot, and I ended up with the core at Denver. But I was kind of working with the surf and messing around and just being me, and so the contrast for years for me, and you guys know this, man. I mean, I never was a score guy. I was a let's do it, let's perform guy, and I still am. I still, although in my secret closet, I go, God damn it, but no, when I'm in front of people, I don't give a shit. I don't give a heck, about scores. Now, that said, the fact that we hit a 90 was a very cool thing. We were a box 5 drum corps. And I was very proud of that. I was proud of you guys. I really, really loved the group. Tom, Ed, yours in.
I didn't feel any pressure after 04 to make 05 better. I think it was more of we've reached this goal. And I said something every show that I would say to the guys on the line, and that was just be the best Impulse you can be. And I think that's what we grew on. We also had another saying, we've upped our standards. And then they would finish that for us. Yeah, I don't think there was pressure to be better. We just knew we were going to be. And it was very evident by the people that showed up at those initial camps and the work ethic that they had, besides wanting to fit in to that family atmosphere that was there with the core.
I'll say one more thing, that I could see 04 from outside, and I thought the core was bitching. But one thing you guys got to understand, that one of the, remember 01 when we had the biggest drum line in DCI, and then all of a sudden we lost that. And 02, which was crushing, because 02's show in the horn line was pretty bitching, and unfortunately we had a struggling first year drum line, and that it didn't work out for us. But 03 came along, and we were good, man. We executed well. I mean, the show was cool. It was tight. We did well. Then 04 comes along, and like I say, I was watching it from the outside, man, and I was going, yeah, man, they're good. That's really crazy good. Great. I'm still on the board, remember? So 05 comes around. Here I am again. I'm helping out in all the different ways. But I want to go back to one thing for all you guys. You got through watching that show. You know what the temperature was that day, right? It was
like over 100 or something.
114 on the field. And you guys didn't break a damn sweat. Look at the pit. Look at you at the end. You didn't even break a sweat because we were in shape, man. We were so good in shape. It was
great. And those uniforms too. I mean, it's like marching in AC. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, I was shocked. I wasn't shocked. I just went, man, this is just incredible. The human body is an incredible thing. And we surmounted a whole bunch of challenges, and the temperature thing was incredible that day. So that's it. Tom, back to you.
Yeah, I didn't mention this in the beginning, but I was a cook for this year's tour. I cooked on 04 and 05, and this show was one of the main shows. If the question comes about if you could march any show, what would you march? And the Impulsables 2005, I would have marched hands down. That was so much fun to see everything as it shaped up. as I'm cleaning refrigerators from watermelons and stuff like that. But
I would have loved to.
it's just such a good show.
Aaron, can I pause you
Aaron.
here quickly? Also, is this why you pushed so hard for last season's Impulse show to be?
I don't know what you're talking about. An Incredibles 2 coming out, and I would never tell all of my staff we have to do Incredibles again.
And if that
No,
05
that 100%.
core had
It was
those,
100% why I did that.
if the 05 core had those outfits, man, that would have been a top 3 drum corps.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Those outfits,
Yeah.
they were beautiful.
But Aaron also was on the Vish staff too. He taught us a visual, remember?
Yeah, every once in a while.
Where was that?
We were at that school. We were there with Taipei Yofu, and he was teaching us that whatever it was, like the arm thing, and then we had to do like a little thing at the end. Yeah, that was fun. Until someone changed it, and I was like,
yeah,
I was the name of the town, and I remember recruiting Aaron to do that.
I was chock full of random ideas at that time. So
Aaron, work something up because you're going to put it in, and he did.
Sounds exactly like what happened. All right, this leads us to our last question, which I'm gonna just go down the roster again. The question is, what was your favorite part of the show? We asked this the past couple watch parties, and it was a blast to hear everyone think of that one moment that in the show that it could be musical, it could be drill, it could just be how that set worked. Whatever it is, what was your favorite moment of the 2005 show? And let's start with Kyle.
Oh, so many good things. First of all, the video that I have, you can't see all of the funny horn manuals that we added into the show that have nothing to do with superheroes, and I love that. Especially the golf swing is one of my favorite moments of all time, and it's captured perfectly in this video, so I gotta get a copy of that. I don't know why we put that in there. We just thought it was funny, and then the staff was like, well, it looks clean, so go ahead. But that wasn't my favorite part. It was definitely the 100-mile dash. When we came up with that move that we were like, we're going to do this cartoon run thing, where you, and then you go. And we, the first time we did it, the staff were like, I don't know, we're not going to be able to, clean that. You guys got to find a way. And then I think I don't know who, but a bunch of the section leaders got together, and maybe even Aaron helped us out with it, trying to figure out how we could make that look uniform. And it looks really great in the video, especially in this one. You can see it very clearly.
Aaron had
there were just
idea.
jolts,
Yeah, you stole my thunder there, Kyle. That was going to be my moment there too. That was my favorite moment. We was right after the ballad, and then boom, we just all run, and then we all had to do a dead stop to play something. I remember just being out of breath after running that sprint. And then I remember the visuals. I don't know if it was Tom, but someone told us, add more visuals. And we just got random with it. And so I think that's where the golf swing came in. Yeah, we did that.
All right, next up, Steve.
oh, when we had the halt and Tom yelled impulse, that was because I let it go. So
Aaron too.
Yeah, so that was my favorite part. Well, the whole show was great, but the whole show, that was my favorite part.
Princess Henry.
Damn.
I'm still waiting. That's not my name.
Henry.
Oh yes. I think the best part is that opening intro, because I believe we're all facing back against the field or whatever. And then we just did a few sets, and it's just this old school 90s drum chord. It's just turn around, snap, box, chords, and it's just that's here we are, words I can't say, and it's just boom sound, this is Impulse, we're here. And that made a big influence. I mean, I had this video up on YouTube, and then it got deleted by copyright. But there were so many comments, people love this video. It's just the music, the energy was that next level from 04, 03. It was just getting better after each year. And I think that's one of the reasons why I didn't decide to leave because I just wanted to make it better and better. But that opening set is just like the iconic Impulse thing, and especially like the movie, it just worked perfectly because it's basically our symbol, and it was just like, this is our music, and we made it our music.
All right, Victor.
There was a lot of cool stuff about that show. I remember the Contras did this crazy visual where we like spun the horns around a couple times, and but what I remember was we were at one show, and the timing was like completely off. I think it was after the opener, where the whole core was pretty much lost, and everything was off. And the Contras, we had this little section where we would come in by ourselves, and after that section, we came in, and then everything fell back into place. The drum major, the snares, everything. The timing was fixed, and before that, everything was kind of like, oh my God, what's going on? It was kind of crazy for a little bit because everything was so off, and it was it kind of felt like people were starting to panic, like on the field.
That was a San Diego show. I remember that.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of just were like together, like one mindset, and then just came in, boom.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Rolling their eyes, literally.
All right, next up, Hillary.
I guess just like the whole show, I love the music, and every time I hear Incredibles music, it just takes me back to '05 and how much fun that year was. And I like how we put in our own little things that made it cute in our own. Like there was someone said something about it earlier. There was like onions in the eggs one time, and like everyone was just like, why is there onions in the eggs? It's disgusting. And we put that into the show. We had like a little hand like motion. We're like, eggs and onions. It's just cute little things like that. And then I remember like before the shows, Henry, he used to slap everyone in the face. And like, I remember that was fun. It's one of my favorite memories.
Forgot about that.
Yeah.
That's illegal now. You can't do that.
It wasn't like that hard, but it was like a hype up, and that was a cool memory.
It depends on who you were. I remember seeing Henry wind up on a couple of those.
He slaps like a princess. Yeah.
Yo, Byron. There was a show in '05. Byron. Did Byron march in '05?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Okay, I do remember this. Him and Irene.
Byron didn't march.
Byron, not Byron.
Joey Baba.
All the other Babas did.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I remember we were talking about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, I remember Byron's like, that was his hype. He loved it. Like, he's just like, go. And I would just like swing, boom, like hand mark, like before the show. And he's like, I'm good. And like, he would just step out. Like, it was exciting. Not really.
All right, next up, Tom.
My favorite part of that show has always been that ballad. There was, I don't know if I told you guys, the Swamp show where he had to hose you off afterwards. Do you guys remember that show at all? Anyway, I got into an argument with the music judge that night because he said the music was too sophisticated and a Division I corps would have never even tried to pull it off. And I said, yeah, but they are. So why are you giving them these low numbers? We never had to see that guy again, but that ballad has always been my favorite part of that show. Every single part of it.
Whatever happened to the trumpet, the mute holder? Weren't you gonna be like a mute rack or something for the trumpets?
Yeah, I wonder what happened to those mutes. You'd have to ask Kyle or Henry.
Schluter.
Where did we keep those mutes? Who had those mutes? Like, I don't remember like getting the mutes from the show. Like, where did we go to get them?
They were up on the front sideline, but was it prelims or was it finals when the mutes got forgotten? And we just took it out.
I don't remember any of that. I mean, I do remember there being mutes for Henry and Dave, because they were, sitting on the sideline for the whole ballad, not doing anything.
I'm sorry, it was my first duet.
We had them hooked onto your sides, didn't we?
Ah, there was
There was a
like that.
point that
I think you
we had some
tried,
sort of
maybe.
sewn pouch.
Huh.
But I also
Yeah,
remember them not
pouches.
coming out of the pouch right, so you guys just ditched it.
Oh.
No. We didn't ditch it. The mutes got forgotten at one of the shows, and we ended up just taking it out, but leaving them in for the duet. And I don't remember if it was I don't remember if it was Friday or Saturday, but it sounded good, and we just left it that way. So whatever, leaving them out, it worked.
Somebody has a bunch of great Harmon mutes now.
Somebody.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Charlie. Favorite moment from 2005.
I kind of agree with Henry, but then Tom kicked that in, and I really like that ballad too. I thought that's the best ballad I ever heard. Period. I just think it was just weird and wonderful. Kyle, nice front man, you know. So we had some heat in that show, man. And Kyle, you were a big part of that. Also, don't forget the drum line. I noticed there's no drummers here, but that drum line was a mother. They were good, and they really did the job. But Henry, man, I'm with you because I was agonizing. You guys, as a group, know how to do a proper about face, and that was a hard thing. If you notice all the DCI drum majors, there's only a couple lately that can do it, and we had a whole damn horn line doing it, and that was awesome. And one thing I really liked about the show as a totality, I always like it when I can look and see good feet. So thank you. Good feet, guys. Not bad.
It took me 5 years to figure it out.
I know Sasquatch you shared earlier, but is there any other moments you wanted to share for favorites?
Like kind of like Kyle, my favorite part was right after the ballot, and we went into that drum thing, and we had that mild dash thing that we did. But aside from the show, I think this was a really good experience for me. This was my very first drum corps, and everyone was super accepting. You guys talk about family, and I was super nervous. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to get like involved. I didn't know like if you guys were gonna like me or if I played crappy or whatever the case was. But you guys, everyone was like super cool, super chill, and I just having that as my first experience as a drum corps, it was really awesome. I had so much fun. And obviously, was it 15 years later, we're still talking about it. So I think this was a really good experience for me, and I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
My memory is failing me. Steve, did I get? Okay, Steve, the favorite moment of the show.
Oh, I already said mine. I think, yeah.
Okay.
Raph, you got Raph.
No, Raph purposely wanted to be the last one to share.
Oh,
so
okay.
Raph.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna pull out the age out card here, so I got a couple things. So I think for me, overall, what I enjoyed the most was like finals, like the end. Before going to the last show, being in aging out. I remember Tom. I don't know if Tom remembers it, but like he came up to me and just came up to me and the other horn age out and said, "Leave it all on the field. It's your last one. Leave it all there." And that's what I did. I played it out, did everything. We usually we run to the end zone, and since playing a tuba, I'm in the back, but and Kyle Henry lead the line. But that being the last show, we're both in the front, and we let it pour off the field. So I think overall, that was like, for me, that was like the end. Favorite memory, it was definitely not the onions and the eggs. But I would have to say maybe I think like doing the show up in New Hampshire, because it was like at a baseball field or softball field. So some weird thing, but it was
Pittsfield. Pittsfield.
Yeah. So but yeah, I would have to go with these things: performing there and just like my last show, just leaving it all out.
But that crowd was pretty hip to drum corps. In fact, I mean, they used to have a good drum corps there, Pittsfield Cavaliers, and that town was, well, all of Boston, the Boston area. Historically, guys, it was pretty heavy back in the day. when I was marching, and they remember. And they remembered you. They liked you, as I recall.
That was the time we broke 90.
Yeah, that was the first 90 break.
Yeah. And then Kyle did something.
Yeah.
Oh, we were no.
Incredible. You King Stats
What did I do?
That was the day you broke Mr. Incredible.
Oh yeah. Oh, so yeah. So that helped us.
It was the anger. Now it makes sense.
The anger.
To clear there a little
Was
bit,
that the time-
just for the cooks, we were told to onions in the eggs by someone on admin that wasn't on tour. Just to throw that out there. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus, but we were instructed to for 3 days straight.
Our first day out on tour, we like Henry and I woke up early along with like 2 other people because we had to go paint a field. So we painted the field. So we're done. We go over. You guys had already like eaten breakfast and gone out to like do visuals. So we eat breakfast and it's onions and eggs, and we're like, all right, whatever. Tasted terrible too. And then we start leaving to the field, and all of a sudden, Henry drops his horn, and he takes off. I'm like, what the heck? And then I start feeling sick. I'm like, oh no. So I put my horn down too, and we just book it to the bathroom. I'm like, I don't know whose idea was to put onions and eggs, but never again.
Oh yes,
It wasn't that bad.
As a lowly helper on the tour, I had many arguments about the ill-advised ideas of adding onions to eggs or buying 26 watermelons.
Okay, I don't remember the eggs and the whole running to the bathroom, but I do remember onions, and I think the eggs were just spoiled maybe, and I don't know.
But we had tacos that night.
It was more onions and eggs. It was onions with eggs. I think that's what it was. It was just giant chunks of onion with a dash of eggs in it. And it was just like, okay, I guess we're poor again. So
How many days straight did we have eggs and onions, though?
It was
once.
three.
I remember
No, it wasn't
also
once.
just
It was
having a lot
multiple
of
meals because I
peanut
remember
butter
the Corps
sandwiches.
got so mad. I had to like stand up to the head cook and say, they're gonna riot if you do this again.
Yeah, it happened until Terry Zeilinger came and joined us because we were all happy he showed up.
Yeah, she has some good human body chops. She knows what not to do.
But we had tacos that night. And I remember Kyle being like, "This is the best meal we've ever had." I'm like, "Really? This is Saturday night at my mom's house."
Yeah. Right? It's like they would always rant and rave like, "Oh, we never had this before." I'm all like, "This is just normal food." Like, what? So,
All right, for everyone that
usually got
tuned
hot
in.
dogs.
For everyone that tuned in, this was the Impulse Drum and Bugle Corps watch party for the year 2005, the Impulsables. It's been a blast catching up with all these people. Like I said, we're doing this every Saturday at 6 p.m. Next week will be the 2006 show, Me, Myself, and I, which is their championship show. So please make sure you tune in. If you have any interest in finding out more about Impulse's offerings, including the new Impulse Institute or indoor drumline or anything like that, you can go to our website at www.impulseyouth.org. Thank you all very much for joining us today. It's a blast. And we'll start planning another one of these after-hour story share times for maybe 2005 to 2009 or something like that. And you can share some of these stories. So thank you all very, very much. And to everyone tuning in, thank you for watching as well.